ho, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Story Time by Santa. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these wonderful stories that Santa is going to read to you, your family members, and your children. I hope you have a wonderful time. And if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Santa loves you. Ho, ho, ho. Enjoy.
The Gingerbread House Surprise. It was a crisp December evening at the North Pole, and the smell of gingerbread filled the air. In Santa's workshop, the elves were busy wrapping presents, preparing the sleigh, and putting the final touches on their favorite holiday treats. Every year they held a special contest to see who could build the best gingerbread house. And this year's competition was bigger than ever. Elves of all ages gathered in the great hall, where tables were stacked with gumdrops, frosting, peppermint sticks, and of course, the finest gingerbread. The rules were simple. Whoever built the most creative, beautiful, and sturdy gingerbread house would win a golden ribbon and a special surprise gift from Santa himself. Among the eager contestants was a young elf named Ellie. Ellie had never entered the contest before, but she had dreamed of building the perfect gingerbread house. Ever since she was little, she watched the older elves create amazing houses with candy roofs and chocolate doors, and they had practiced her own designs many times at home. This year, Ellie finally felt ready. She had a plan in mind, a gingerbread house that would look just like Santa's cottage, complete with a tiny chimney and a front door made from red licorice. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but Ellie was determined to give it her best. As the contest began, the elves hurried to grab their supplies. Ellie found a cozy spot at the end of the table and began carefully piecing her gingerbread walls together. She spread thick, sweet frosting between the edges to hold them in place and sprinkled powdered sugar across the roof to look like freshly fallen snow. Things were going well until Ellie reached for her gumdrop windows and accidentally knocked the whole side of her gingerbread house. The wall came crashing down, crumbling into pieces on the table. "Oh no!" Ellie gasped, her heart sinking. All her hard work had fallen apart in just a second. The other elves were building magnificent houses, tall and sturdy, and here she was with her gingerbread walls in ruins. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked around at the competition. Some of the elves were already putting the finishing touches on their houses, and Ellie felt like giving up. How could she possibly catch up now? Just as she was about to pack up her things and leave, a gentle voice spoke from behind her. "Are you all right, Ellie?" She turned to see Santa himself, his kind eyes twinkling beneath his brushy white eyebrows. "I knocked my house over," Ellie said, wiping her eyes. "Now I don't think I can finish in time." Santa smiled warmly and knelt beside her. "Building a gingerbread house isn't always easy, especially when things don't go the way we expect," he said. "But do you know what's more important than having the perfect house?" Ellie shook her head. "What?" "Not giving up," Santa replied. "Sometimes things don't work out on the first try, but that doesn't mean we stop trying. The magic of Christmas is in our hearts, and that magic helps us keep going, even when things are tough." Ellie took a deep breath and looked at the crumbled pieces of her gingerbread house. Santa's word made her feel a little braver, and she decided to give it another shot. Maybe her house wouldn't be perfect, but she could still try her best. "Thank you, Santa," Ellie said, smiling with a new determination. She began rebuilding her gingerbread house. This time she worked more carefully, making sure the walls were secure before adding the roof. And when the roof was in place, she had decorated with colorful gumdrops, peppermint sticks, and chocolate pieces. The other elves continued working on their houses too, and soon the hall was filled with beautiful gingerbread creations. Some houses had candy cane fences, others had marshmallow snowmen in the front yard, and a few even had twinkling lights made from jelly beans. Ellie's house wasn't the biggest or the fanciest, but when she stepped back and to admire it, she felt proud. It looked cozy and inviting, just like Santa's cottage, and she had decorated it with love. More importantly, she hadn't given up. As the contest came to a close, Santa and the head elves walked around the room, carefully judging each house. They praised the creativity and the hard work of every elf, and when they reached Ellie's table, Santa gave her a wink. "You've done a wonderful job," Santa said. "I can see how much care and effort you put into your house." Ellie beamed. She didn't expect to win, but knowing Santa appreciated her hard work was enough. Finally, Santa stood in front of the crowd and announced the winners. First, second, and third place went to some of the older elves who had built magnificent gingerbread castles and cottages. Ellie clapped for them, feeling happy for her friends. But then Santa announced something special. "There is one more prize tonight," he said. "This prize goes to an elf who showed more perseverance, who didn't give up even when things got difficult. And that elf is Ellie." The whole room erupted into applause as Ellie's cheeks turned bright red with surprise. Santa walked over to her and placed a shiny golden ribbon around her neck. "Ellie, your determination and Christmas spirit have earned you this special award," Santa said, "and as a surprise gift, you'll get to help me in the workshop tomorrow, decorating the gingerbread village for Christmas Eve." Ellie's heart soared with joy. Not only had she finished her gingerbread house, but she also had earned the chance to help Santa with one of the most important Christmas traditions. From that day on, Ellie remembered the lesson she had learned. Even when you feel like giving up, it's important to keep going. With hard work, patience, and a little Christmas magic, you can always turn things around. That night, as Ellie walked home with her golden ribbon, she felt the warmth in her heart that had nothing to do with the gingerbread or the contest. It was the warmth of knowing that she had tried her best, and that sometimes the greatest rewards come from never giving up. The end. Here's your life lesson. This story teaches children that perseverance is the key to success. Even when things seem to fall apart, like Ellie's gingerbread house, it's important not to give up. When determination, patience, and a positive attitude, they can overcome challenges and achieve something they're proud of. Wow! Isn't that awesome, boys and girls? Here's number 2. Are you ready? The Christmas Eve Adventure. It was Christmas Eve at the North Pole, and the whole place was buzzing with excitement. Santa's sleigh was packed full of the presents, the reindeer were in their harnesses, and the elves were gathered to watch Santa take off on his yearly journey. Everyone was ready for Christmas to begin. But in the middle of all the excitement, two young elves named Oliver and Lily were about to have an unexpected adventure of their own. Oliver and Lila were best friends, and though they were smaller and younger than the other elves, they dreamed of helping Santa with his Christmas Eve journey one day. But that year they were assigned to much less exciting job, making sure all the presents were organized in the toy room. As the two friends sat by the window in the toy room watching the reindeer paw at the snow and hearing the cheers of all the other elves, Oliver sighed. "I wish we could go with Santa," he said. "It would be so much fun to travel the world and deliver presents." Lila nodded in agreement. "Maybe one day we'll be old enough, but for now we've got to make sure everything is in order here." Just as they were about to turn back to their work, something strange caught Oliver's eye. At the far end of the workshop, there was a large sack that had tipped over, spilling a few presents on the floor. "Uh-oh," Oliver pointed. "Looks like some of the presents didn't make it onto the sleigh." Lila's eyes widened. "Oh no, Santa can't leave without those." There was no time to lose. Without thinking, the two elves grabbed the fallen presents and rushed out of the toy room. They could see Santa's sleigh just ahead, his team of reindeer ready to take flight. Santa was already in his seat holding the reins, his jolly voice calling out, "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!" "Wait, Santa!" Oliver shouted, waving his arms. "You forgot these." But with the wind swirling and the bells jingling, Santa didn't hear them. With a mighty leap, the reindeer took off into the sky, pulling Santa's sleigh behind them. The presents in Oliver's and Lila's arms were meant for children who would be waiting eagerly the next morning. They couldn't let Santa leave without them. Lila turned to Oliver, her face determined. "We have to follow him. These presents are important, and we need to make sure they are delivered." "But how?" Oliver asked, looking up at the distant sleigh. Lila's eyes sparkled with an idea. "I've got it. We'll use the magic sled." At the back of the workshop was an old but powerful sled, powered by Christmas magic. The elves used it for quick trips around the North Pole, and tonight Oliver and Lila would use it for a much more important mission. They loaded the presents onto the sleigh, and with a flick of Lila's wrist, the sleigh glowed bright with Christmas magic. "Hang on tight," she called, as the sled zoomed into the sky, racing after Santa. The wind whooshed past their faces as they flew over snowy hills and twinkling lights. It wasn't long before they spotted Santa's sleigh ahead, but just as they were catching up, a fierce gust of wind knocked them off course, sending the sleigh tumbling through a thick forest below. "Hold on!" Oliver shouted as they crash-landed into the snow, the sled skipping to a stop in the middle of a quiet, frosty glade. "Oh no!" Lila groaned, looking at the twisted sled. "The sled's damaged. We'll never catch up to Santa now." For a moment, the two elves sat in the snow, feeling defeated. They had been so close, but now it seemed their adventure was over before it even began. But then, a soft jingling sound filled the airs. From the trees, a group of woodland animals appeared. Deer, rabbits, foxes, and even a snow owl. They gathered around the elves, their eyes full of curiosity and kindness. Oliver stood up, brushing snow from his coat. Maybe we can't catch this up with the Santa with the sled, he said, but maybe we have to. What do you mean? Lilla asked. Oliver smiled. We can deliver the presents ourselves. These animals know the forest, and with their help, we can bring the presents to the children who live nearby. Lilla's eyes lit up. What a brilliant idea! Maybe not be as fast as Santa, but we can still make sure these gifts are delivered. The animals seemed to understand the elves' mission, and with a nod from the snow owl, the woodland creatures began to help. The deer offered to carry the presents, the foxes and the rabbit led the way through the snowy paths. Together, Oliver and Lilla and their new animal friends set off on a Christmas Eve adventure they would never forget. They traveled through snowy fields and over frozen streams, visiting cozy cottages where children slept soundly, their stockings hung by the fire. At each home, the elves quietly placed the missing presents under the tree, leaving behind a little extra Christmas magic. The animals watched from the windows, their breath fogging up the glass as they saw the joy the gifts would bring in the morning. After several hours, the final present was delivered, and the two elves and their woodland helpers gathered back in the forest glade. The night sky sparkled with stars, and far in the distance they could see Santa's sleigh zooming through the sky, finishing the rest of his journey. Oliver and Lilla looked at each other, exhausted but proud. They had done it, even without Santa's help. They had made sure no child would wake up without their Christmas present. Just then a familiar, jolly voice echoed through the trees. Ho, ho, ho! What's this I hear about an adventure? Santa landing his sleigh in the glade, his eyes twinkling with delight as he stepped out. I hear you two went on quite a journey tonight, he said, his deep laugh rumbling through the forest. We couldn't let the presents be forgotten, Lilla explained, so we decided to deliver them ourselves. Santa smiled warmly. You both showed incredible bravery and kindness tonight. You didn't give up when things got tough, and you made sure every child had a special Christmas morning. That's the true spirit of Christmas. The elves beamed with pride. They had always dreamed of helping Santa, but tonight they learned that the best adventures happen when you least expect them. As Santa loaded them into his sleigh to take them back to the North Pole, Oliver and Lilla looked out over the snowy forest, the stars twinkling above them. Their hearts were full of Christmas joy, knowing that they had made it a difference. And as the sleigh soared through the sky, they realized that the greatest adventure of all wasn't about delivering presents. It was about showing kindness, working together, and never giving up, no matter how big the challenge might be. The end. Here's your life lesson. The story teaches children that even when things don't go as planned, they can find ways to solve problems by working together, staying positive, and never giving up. With kindness and determination, they can create their own adventures and make a big difference, just like Oliver and Lilla. Isn't that special? What an incredible story. Thank you for sharing some time with Santa. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did. Good night. We'll see you next time. Santa loves you. Ho, ho, ho!
ho, ho, ho. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Storytime by Santa. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these wonderful stories that Santa is going to read to you, your family members, and your children. I hope you have a wonderful time. And if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Santa loves you. Ho, ho, ho. Enjoy.
All right, boys and girls, mom and dad, are you ready for another wonderful story time by Santa? I'm so excited to do this. I have a lot of fun. It makes me very proud that I can read stories to your family. The star that shone the brightest. Once upon a time, high above the peaceful little village of Winter Hollow, nestled in a valley surrounded by snow-capped mountains, the stars twinkled in a clear night sky. The villagers were preparing for Christmas, decorating their homes with lights, baking cookies, and of course singing carols. The air was filled with excitement because this was no ordinary Christmas. It was the night of the great Christmas star, a once-in-a-lifetime event where one star would shine brighter than all the others to guide Santa on his journey. In the heavens, among all the twinkling stars, lived a young star named Nova. Nova was smaller than the others and often felt unnoticed among the grander stars that shone in the sky every night. The older, larger stars sparkled brightly, casting their light far and wide, while Nova's glow was soft and gentle. Every night Nova wished to shine just a little brighter. But no matter how hard it tried, it couldn't match the dazzling brilliance of the other stars. The North Star was the brightest of them all, and the stars around it twinkled in perfect harmony, lighting the way for sailors, travelers, and even Santa on Christmas Eve. Nova admired them from afar, feeling small and insignificant. One cold December evening, as the stars gathered to hear a message from the North Star, the oldest and wisest of the stars spoke. This year, the North Star began, we have a special task. On Christmas Eve, one star must shine brighter than all the others to help guide Santa's sleigh through the darkest night. It will be an honor bestowed upon the star that can light the sky with the most joy and the kindness. The stars buzzed with excitement. Many of the older stars believed they would be chosen, and they began to boast about their brightness and importance. Nova listened quietly, knowing that it stood no chance. But there was something deep inside Nova's heart, a small hope that maybe, just maybe, it could find a way to shine for Christmas. Days passed, and Christmas Eve drew near. The stars practiced their brightest glows, trying to outshine one another. Nova watched in awe, its soft light barely noticeable next to the others. Feeling discouraged, Nova drifted alone to the edge of the sky where it could be quiet and think. As Nova gazed down upon Winter Hollow, it saw something that caught its attention. Down below, a little girl named Clara was standing outside her home, gazing up at the stars. Clara's family was not wealthy, and this Christmas they could not afford many gifts or decorations, But Clara didn't seem sad. Instead, she whispered, "Even if we don't have presents, I know Christmas is special because it's about love and kindness." Nova was moved by Clara's words. As it watched, she gathered her family to sing carols, their voices lifting up into the cold night air. Though they had little, they shared everything they had, filling their home with laughter and joy. Nova realized true brightness didn't come from bringing the brightest or the most dazzling. It came from a heart full of love and kindness, just like Clara's. With this new understanding, Nova returned to the gathering of the stars, filled with hope and a newfound determination. As Christmas Eve arrived, the North Star called upon the heavens. "Now is the time," the North Star said. "The star that shines with the greatest love and joy will guide Santa's sleigh tonight." One by one the stars lit up, shining as brightly as they could. They shimmered and sparkled, casting their light far and wide. But something extraordinary was happening. Nova's gentle glow, filled with the love and kindness it had witnessed from Clara and her family, began to grow stronger. It wasn't the biggest or the brightest, but it was warm and inviting, like a comforting embrace. As Nova's light spread across the sky, something magical happened. The other stars began to dim, and soon all the heavens were focused on Nova's soft golden glow. The North Star smiled and spoke, "Nova," the North Star said, "your light shines brightest because it comes from a heart filled with love, kindness, and the true spirit of Christmas. You will guide Santa's sleigh tonight." Nova was filled with joy, and its light grew even stronger. Down below, Clara looked up at the sky and gasped, "Look, Mama, that star is shining so brightly," she exclaimed, pointing to Nova, whose glow was now lighting up the entire village of Winter Hollow. As Santa and his reindeer, flew through the sky, they followed Nova's warm golden light. Nova's glow led them safely through snowy mountains, dark forests, and across wide oceans. Santa smiled as he delivered gifts, knowing that Nova's love and kindness had made his journey possible. That Christmas Eve, every child, including Clara, woke up to find something special under their tree. It wasn't the biggest or the most expensive gifts, but they were filled with love, wrapped in the warmth of family and kindness. As for Nova, it learned an important lesson that night. True brightness doesn't come from being the biggest or the most impressive. It comes from having a heart full of love, kindness, and the desire to bring joy to others. And every Christmas Eve, Nova continued to shine bright, not because it was the brightest star in the sky, but because it had the brightest heart. The end. Here's your life lesson. The story of the star that shone brightest teaches us that the true greatness and the brightness come from the kindness and the love we share to others, not from being the biggest or the best. Just like Nova, anyone can shine brightly by being generous, kind, and spreading joy to those around them. Wow! Wasn't that awesome? Are you ready for story number 2? The reindeer who painted the sky. In a of the North Pole where snowflakes danced in the air like glitter and the lights of the aurora twinkled across the night sky, there lived a very special reindeer named Aspen. Aspen was different from the other reindeer. While the rest of Santa's team loved practicing their flying and preparing for the big Christmas Eve sleigh ride, Aspen had a different passion: painting. From the soft blues of the snow, the deep greens of the pine trees, and especially the vibrant hues of the northern lights, which swirled across the night sky like ribbons of color. Aspen would often spend hours gazing at the auroras, dreaming of capturing their beauty in his art. While the other reindeer trained for Christmas, Aspen could be found with a paintbrush in his hoof, creating beautiful paintings of the North Pole. He painted the snowy landscapes, the workshops where Santa's elves busily made toys, and the cozy cottages where his fellow reindeer lived. But his favorite subject of all was the sky. He loved mixing the colors on his palette to recreate the brilliant purples, greens, and blues of the northern lights. The other reindeer didn't understand Aspen's passion for painting. They admired his talent, but they couldn't see why he wasn't more interested in flying. Why spend so much time painting when you could be soaring through the sky with us? Asked Dan. One day as he swooped past Aspen, performing a loop-de-loop in the air. After all, in their eyes, the most important thing was preparing for the big Christmas Eve flight, when they would help Santa deliver presents to children all around the world. Aspen, however, felt that his gift of painting was just as important. As Christmas Eve approached, excitement filled the air. The reindeer team was ready to guide Santa's sleigh, and the elves were putting the final touches on the gifts. But something strange began to happen. The sky, which was usually alive with dazzling colors of the northern lights, suddenly grew dark. Night after night, the sky remained empty and colorless. The northern lights had vanished, and no one knew why. Mr. and Mrs. Claus were concerned. Without the northern lights, Christmas won't feel as magical this year, Santa said, stroking his long But Aspen had an idea, a bold, creative idea that just might work. "I'll paint the sky," Aspen declared one morning, bursting into the reindeer stable where the others were gathered. "If the northern lights won't return on their own, I'll create them with my colors." The other reindeer blinked in surprise. "Paint the sky?" Blitzen asked, raising an eyebrow. "How can you paint something so big and vast?" Aspen's heart raced with excitement. "I've been practicing my whole life for this. I know I can do it.
I just need your help to fly high enough to reach the sky." At first, the other reindeer weren't sure. Painting the sky seemed like an impossible task. But when they saw the determination in Aspen's eyes, they knew they had to help. After all, Christmas was about believing in the impossible. And so, on the night before Christmas Eve, Aspen gathered all his brushes and paints while the other reindeer prepared to take flight. As the team soared into the sky, they held Aspen between them, lifting him higher and higher until they reached the dark, empty canvas of the heavens. With a breath, Aspen dipped his brush into the paint. Swirling together colors of green, purple, blue, and gold, he began to paint, sweeping his brush across the sky in grand flowing strokes. The stars sparkled above, and as Aspen worked, the dark sky began to glow with the colors of the auroras. Once more, he painted with all his heart, letting his creativity and the love for Christmas flow through each stroke. As he painted, memories of the beauty and joy of the holiday season filled the sky. The laughter of the children, the warmth of the families gathered together, and the kindness that Christmas brings. When Aspen finished, the sky shimmered with color like never before. It was more than just the northern lights. It was a masterpiece, a painting of everything that made Christmas magical. The other reindeer gazed in awe at Aspen's work. Even Santa and Mrs. Claus came out to marvel at the painted sky. Santa beamed with pride. "Aspen, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You've made Christmas even more magical than ever." Aspen's heart swelled with happiness. He had always dreamed of sharing his love of art with the world, and now he had painted a gift for everybody to enjoy. The sky would light the way for Santa's sleigh, and every child who looked up on Christmas Eve would see the beauty of the season reflected in Aspen's painting. That night, as Santa flew through the sky, delivering presents, the painted auroras glowed brilliantly, guiding his sleigh across the world. Children who peered out the windows saw the breathtaking colors and felt the magic of Christmas in their hearts. When Santa returned to the North Pole, he gathered the reindeer and said, "Aspen, tonight you showed us all that each of us has a unique gift. Christmas isn't just about flying or delivering presents. It's about sharing the special things that make us who we are. Your gift of painting has brought joy to the world." Aspen smiled, realizing that he didn't have to be like the other reindeer to make a difference. His creativity, his art, and his love for Christmas had made the holiday even more special. And from that Christmas on, Aspen became known as the reindeer who painted the sky, bringing color and wonder to every Christmas Eve. Wow. Here's your life lesson. The reindeer who painted the sky teaches that everyone has unique gifts and talents, and it's important to embrace what makes us special. Just like Aspen, we can bring joy and magic to the world in our own way, and by sharing our creativity and kindness, we can make a difference in the lives of others. Wasn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for spending some time with Santa. Santa loves you. Ho, ho, ho. We'll see you next time. ho, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Story Time by Santa. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these wonderful stories that Santa is going to read to you, your family members, and your children. I hope you have a wonderful time. And if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Santa loves you. Ho, ho, ho. Enjoy.
Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Are you excited for another set of stories from Santa? Because I'm excited to tell you some stories. So here we go. The Snowy Owl's Christmas Flight. On a crisp winter night in the far north, deep within the enchanted forest near the North Pole, there lived a wise and graceful snowy owl named Orion. With his pure white feathers and golden eyes, Orion was a majestic sight, especially when he soared high above the snow-covered trees. Orion had always admired Christmas from afar. Watching the elves prepare toys and the reindeer practice for their annual flight with Santa. But this year something special was about to happen, something that would make this Christmas unforgettable. As the snow gently fell over Santa's village, everyone was busy with their final Christmas Eve preparations. Santa checked his list, the elves loaded the sleigh with brightly wrapped gifts, and the reindeer eagerly stretched their legs, ready for the long journey ahead. Orion watched from the edge of the forest, perched on a tall frosty pine tree. He loved the magic of Christmas, but as much as he admired the festivities, he had never been part of them. That night, however, something unusual occurred. As the reindeer lined up and the elves finished their work, an icy wind blew through the village. It wasn't like the usual chilly breeze that everybody was used to. It was a fierce, howling wind, the kind that made even the strongest reindeer shiver. The elves hurried to secure the presents. Santa rushed to check the weather. "I'm afraid we have a problem," Santa said, his voice filled with concern as he spoke to the elves. "This storm is too powerful. Even with Rudolph's bright nose to guide them, the winds are too strong for the reindeer to fly through safely." Orion, still watching from his tree, felt a twinge of sadness. Christmas Eve had always gone perfectly. Santa and his sleigh flying across the world, bringing joy to children everywhere. But now it seemed that the storm might prevent Santa from delivering the gifts. The snowy owl's sharp eyes scanned the horizon. He had flown through many storms in his lifetime, navigating the wild northern winds with ease. Perhaps just this once there was something he could do to help. Flapping his powerful wings, Orion swooped down towards Santa's workshop and landed gently on the snowy ground near the sleigh. Santa looked up, surprised to see the majestic owl standing before him. "Well, now what brings you here, Orion?" Santa asked, smiling despite the situation. Orion ruffled his feathers and hooted softly. "I've been watching Christmas for many years," he said, his voice soft but full of wisdom, "and tonight I think I can help. The winds may be too fierce for the reindeer, but they are no match for a snowy owl. I can guide your sleigh through the storm." Santa's eyes twinkled with gratitude. "That's a generous offer, Orion, but the storm is fierce and unpredictable. It won't be easy." Orion Orion spread his wings, their tips glistening in the moonlight. I have flown through many winter storms, and my eyes can see even through the darkest clouds. If you let me glide the way, we can still bring Christmas to the world. Santa thought for a moment, then nodded. Thank you, Orion. Your help may be just what we need. Santa cheerfully attached a small lantern to Orion's leg, its golden light glowing softly in the cold night air. With the reindeer harnessed and ready, Orion took flight, soaring high above the village, his wings steady as he led the sleigh into the storm. As they flew higher, the wind howled around them, pushing and pulling the sleigh. Snow swirled in every direction, making it nearly impossible to see. But Orion, with his keen eyesight, flew confidently through the blizzard, guiding Santa and the reindeer through the harsh winds. Hours passed, and the storm raged on. The sleigh moved steadily across the sky. From country to country, town to town, Santa delivered gifts to children all over the world. Despite the fierce weather, not a single child was forgotten. But just as they neared their last stop, the wind grew even stronger. A powerful gust sent the sleigh rocking back and forth, and for a moment, it seemed like they might lose control. Orion pushed forward, determined to keep the sleigh on course, but the storm was relentless. He could feel the weight of the responsibility on his wings, and for the first time that night, doubt crept into his mind. What if I can't do it? Orion thought to himself. What if we don't make it? But just then he remembered something Santa had once said. The spirit of Christmas isn't about perfection or getting everything right. It's about trying your best, giving from the heart, and believing in the magic of kindness. Orion's heart filled with warmth. He wasn't alone in his journey. Santa, the reindeer, and all the children in the world were counting on him. He knew he had to keep going, but not just for himself, but for everyone who believed in the magic of Christmas. With renowned determination, Orion flapped his wings harder than ever, cutting through the storm with precision. His golden eyes focused on the path ahead, and slowly but surely, the winds began to calm. The storm was weakening, and as dawn approached, the skies cleared. Finally, the sleigh touched down on the last rooftop, and Santa delivered the final gift of the night. As he climbed back into the sleigh, he looked up at Orion, his face beaming with pride. "You did it, Orion," Santa said. "Thanks to you, Christmas was saved." Once perched on the sleigh, Orion perched on the sleigh, feeling both exhausted and proud. He had faced the storm not just with his wings, but with his heart. And in doing so, he had discovered a new kind of strength within himself, one that came from helping others and never giving up. Even when the winds seemed too strong to hear, as they flew back to the North Pole, the sun began to rise, casting a warm light, golden light across the snowy landscape. Santa and the reindeer were safe. The gifts had all been delivered, and the Christmas morning was full of joy and laughter around the world. From that night on, Orion was known not just as the snowy owl who watched Christmas from afar, but as the one who had guided Santa's sleigh through the fiercest storm in years. And every Christmas Eve, as the village prepared for the big night, Orion was there, ready to help out once again, knowing that with courage, kindness, and a belief in oneself. Even the strongest storms could be overcome. Here's your life lesson. The story teaches us that courage and kindness can guide us through even the toughest challenges. When we believe in ourselves and offer our help to others, we discover the strength within to face any storm. Wow! Wasn't that incredible? The elf who found Christmas spirit. Are you ready for number 2? Once upon a time in the heart of the North Pole, there was a small, curious elf named Oliver. Unlike the elves, who were always busy wrapping presents, making toys, and singing cheerful carols, Oliver didn't feel the same excitement about Christmas. While the North Pole buzzed with joy and laughter, Oliver often felt something was missing. He didn't understand why the elves were so excited. After all, wasn't Christmas the same every year? The Christmas season was fast approaching, and the entire North Pole was glowing with festive decorations. The toy workshop was filled with laughter, Santa was busy double-checking his list, and the reindeer were preparing for their big flight. But Oliver sat in the corner of the workshop, fiddling with a half-finished toy train, feeling a little lost. Why does everybody seem so happy? Oliver wondered out loud. Every year it's the same thing. We make toys, Santa delivers them, and then we do it all over again. Where's the magic in that? As he sat there, Elfina, one of the oldest and wisest elves, noticed Oliver's gloomy face. She walked over to him, her eyes twinkled with kindness. Oliver, you seem troubled, Elfina said gently. Is something on your mind? Oliver sighed. I don't understand, Elfina. Everybody's so excited about Christmas, but I don't feel anything. It just seems like a lot of work, and I can't figure out why Christmas is supposed to be so magical. Elfina smiled knowingly. Ah, the Christmas spirit. It sounds like you've lost your connection to it, Oliver. The Christmas spirit? Oliver asked, raising an eyebrow. What is that? Exactly. The Christmas spirit isn't something you can see or touch, Elfina explained. It's something you feel in your heart. It's the joy of giving, the warmth of kindness, and the magic of believing. Sometimes when we get caught up in the busy work of Christmas, we forget to look for it. Oliver frowned. But how do I find it if I don't feel it? Elfina thought for a moment, then smiled. Why don't you go on a little adventure? Step outside the workshop and see what Christmas means to others. You might be surprised where you might find the spirit of Christmas. Curious but still uncertain, Oliver decided to take Elfina's advice. He left the workshop and wandered through the North Pole village. Snowflakes fell gently from the sky, and the streets were lined with glowing lights and candy canes. Oliver walked past groups of elves decorating trees, building snowmen, and preparing for Santa's big night. He watched them laugh and smile, but he still didn't feel the magic they seemed to share. As he continued his walk, Oliver heard a soft, sobbing sound. He followed the noise until he came across a young elf named Sophie, sitting by herself near a snow-covered pine tree. Her usual bright eyes were filled with tears. Hey, Sophie, Oliver said, gently sitting down beside her. What's wrong? Sophie wiped her eyes and sniffled.
I wanted to make something special for my friend, but it didn't turn out right. Now I'm worried that I ruined Christmas for her." Oliver looked at the small gift Sophie was holding. It was a handmade ornament, but the paint was smudged and one of the pieces had fallen off. He could see how hard she had worked on it, even if it wasn't perfect. "I'm sure your friend will love it," Oliver said kindly. "You made it with love, and that's what matters. Christmas isn't about everything being perfect. It's about showing you care." Sophie looked up at Oliver, a small smile forming on her face. "Do you really think so?" "I know so," Oliver said, with a nod. "Your friend will see how much effort you put into it, and that's will make her happy." Sophie smiled brighter now, and the sadness in her eyes began to fade. She thanked Oliver and hurried off to give her friend the gift, her steps much lighter than before. As Oliver watched her go, he felt a warm feeling stir inside him, a small flicker of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, that was a hint of the Christmas spirit Alfina had mentioned. Encouraged by the feeling, Oliver continued on his journey. He wandered past Santa's stables where the reindeer were getting ready for their big flight. That's when he noticed Dasher. One of Santa's lead reindeer looked worried. "What's wrong, Dasher?" Oliver asked, walking up to him. Dasher sighed. "I've been flying Santa's sleigh for many years and I love it, but this year I'm worried I won't be fast enough. I've gotten older and I'm afraid I'll slow Santa down." Oliver thought for a moment, then smiled. "Dasher, you've been leading Santa's team for so long because you know the way better than anyone. It's not just about speed, it's about guiding the sleigh with care. Santa trusts you because of your experience and your heart. You're still the best reindeer for the job." Dasher's eyes brightened. "You really think so?" "I know so," Oliver said with confidence. Dasher gave a grateful nod. His spirits lifted, and Oliver once again felt the warm feeling inside him grow stronger. Maybe the Christmas spirit wasn't something grand or magical after all. Maybe it was something simple, like helping others and spreading kindness. With this thought in mind, Oliver decided to head back to the workshop. But as he passed by the large window that overlooked the village square, he noticed a group of elves gathered around a giant Christmas tree, admiring its glowing lights. In the center of the group was Santa himself, eyes twinkling as he listened to the elves sing carols. Oliver stopped and watched, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something deep in his heart. It was a sense of peace, joy, and warmth, a feeling of connection to the others around him. He realized that Christmas spirit wasn't about the presents or the decorations. It was about the moments of kindness, the acts of love, and the simple joy of being together. As Oliver returned to the workshop, Alfina greeted him with a knowing smile. "How was your adventure?" she asked. Oliver grinned. "You were right, Alfina. The Christmas spirit isn't something you can find by looking for it. It's something you feel when you help others and share kindness. I didn't realize before, but I think I finally found it." Alfina patted him on the shoulder. "The spirit of Christmas has always been with you, Oliver. You just needed to open your heart to see it." From that day on, Oliver no longer questioned the magic of Christmas. He embraced every moment of the season with joy and love, knowing that the true spirit of Christmas wasn't in the work or the decorations, but in the kindness we show to others
and the happiness we bring to those around us. And every year after that, Oliver was known as the elf who found the Christmas spirit. Not in the tinsel or in the presents, but in the warmth of a kind heart. Wow! Here's your life lesson. The story teaches that the true spirit of Christmas isn't found in presents or decorations, but in kindness, love, and the joy of helping each other. When we focus on spreading kindness and caring for those around us, we discover the real magic of this season. The end. Wasn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls? I hope you really liked that one. Bye for now. Santa loves you, and I'll be back to read more later. Good night.
Third jerseys in the Stanley Cup playoffs, a forthcoming farewell in Calgary, some major news in the minor leagues, and the logo revealed for the NHL's next Heritage Classic. This is Threads, a monthly recap of hockey branding news only on Aesthetics. I'm Chris. Thanks for watching. But first, another league-wide jersey program is on its way to the NHL. For context, Adidas delivered Reverse Retro in 2020. That was a set of special uniforms for every team under a simple, cohesive theme. Throwbacks with a twist. Then they did it all over again